you're listening to Julie Taylor, and this is Julie and Company. Today, my guest is Benoit Bourgon. Benoit Bourgon is citizen of Brome Lake and is here to talk to us about his candidacy to mayorship of Brome Lake. Hi, Benoit.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to go right into this. So you're here now in Brome Lake since what year?
Over 10 years now.
Because your story, I pick up from when you were young, you were probably guided to become a lawyer and to work in that field where you have to defend causes, purposes, and privately people and their property and things.
I've always wanted to be a lawyer because I like to argue. And my wife tells me I argue too much. But I like the logic of it. I like
the intellect?
The intellect of taking an argument and make it better.
Making it better? Carry on,
yeah.
Sorry.
So that's why I was a litigator. I'm still a litigator. So I don't draft contracts. I do really court appearance.
Yeah.
I was one of the lead attorney for the longest running trial in the history of Canada. The trial took 8 years, and sent an email that we have a trial in Canada. Is it the longest trial in the world? And then we got a quick answer, nope. So what is the longest trial in the world?
Yes.
21 years in Japan.
Really? Sometimes I believe for myself that trials need to take the time they take so that people equalize energetically to an outcome. And before you can even articulate that outcome, I think the people involved, the parties involved, something has to happen in their perspective and their own mental equation of what matters or doesn't matter in the world, and they're ready to surrender to a certain degree. I'm probably way off, and you probably don't see it that way, which makes you a really good lawyer and litigator. But I do think sometimes time is what you need to find a solution.
Julie, there's two parts to my career. I started to be a lawyer in 1981, and for the first almost 40 years, I would say, I was representing corporations and insurance company, huge corporation. And you litigate, you work hard, you win a trial. Years ago, I won a trial, $5 million for a corporation, and you get an email. No thanks, just an email. Oh, fine, good work, send us your bill. And since I'm doing pro bono, I regret not doing that before.
Right.
I regret not having the personal contact with clients, not worrying about how much it would cost, doing it free of charge.
Yeah.
And the thank you after
is the reward.
We settle a case or win a case, it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So what I'm hearing is that human connection is really important.
Oh, yeah. And
it takes a little...
The more I age, the more it's become.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah. Sometimes it takes life and life experience for us to get to the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And human experience is really wealth and abundance to a certain degree. We're sharing now. So you did litigation for bigger companies. Now you're doing pro bono work. How long have you been doing pro bono?
2020.
Since 2020.
Yeah,
so
I resigned from the last firm I worked for in the middle of COVID.
Did something prompt you to resign at that time?
Yes or no. I really don't want to go there because it's going to impact someone that lives in this town.
So now that you're living here in Brome Lake, what would you say are the main differences between city living and country living? And did you need time to adjust?
Yes. Not to the beauty of the lake or the town, but to adjust to the locals. And now I understand even more the reception I got.
And what reception is that for those of us who don't know?
When you arrive in a small town...
Eyebrows raise.
Yeah, there's a fear you're going to disrupt their way of living. And then you start talking to...
Your neighbor?
You start talking to a business owner, a boutique owner, and he or she is part of the community. And then the next week you come in, they look at you differently. And then the third week, they start to say, hi, how are you doing? At first, I thought it was not very nice of the locals to approach someone like that. But then I understood that they want to protect their village. They want to protect what they have, and it's only fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would add to that the sense of what you mentioned, wanting to protect themselves, their assets, their community, what they've got going on, their village. There's also, I believe, a sense that living a village life, everybody knows your story very quickly. And you may want to have certain boundaries or decide how quickly you want people to know your story. It's both ways, I think.
Yeah, even more so when you're running for mayor. I don't go on social network. My wife does. I do have a Facebook page. I have a website, but I don't read what other people are saying about me, or my wife does, and I keep telling her, please, I don't want to know. And sometimes it gets nasty because when you're in a situation like I am right now, people are trying to find skeleton in the closet.
I think it goes back to feeling safe. Now, if we're going to put people in the driver's seat of our collective experience as villagers, we want that person to share our values, to resonate with our heart. And because, tell me if I'm wrong, but it does happen that people who are strong, I won't say dominant, but affirmative, quickly also think they have the answer. And when you think you have the answer, it's likely that you're not listening the right way to all the other components that make for a strong, vibrant, healthy, long-term decision. As an individual, I'm speaking for myself, that would be my perception why people would feel so defensive right now, that they're not misled or misinterpreting who will come in and take that driver's seat. And so the sense of security is threatened, and then the aggressivity shows up.
Yeah, I understand that. But I was talking about what I thought was a lot of innuendos between supporters of one candidate and the other. And I don't think it has any place in this race. And as I said to my wife, I said, someone is trying to find skeleton in my closet. And the best they could find is that I was representing a poor woman with a second grade education, and I'm suing the city on her behalf.
This city?
Yeah, on a pro bono basis. And people started to complain about that. Can you sue the city and want to become the mayor of the city? I'm not suing the city. I'm representing someone who is suing the city. It's way different. And by the way, the mayor of Sutton, Mr. Benoit, sued the city of Sutton before becoming mayor.
So it's almost a rite of passage.
No, it's not a rite of passage. But the point I'm making is that if you want to justify your position of not supporting a candidate, you will find anything to justify your position. So people were saying that's your skeleton in the closet. And I said to my wife, if that's the skeleton, well, I want 20 like that.
To what you've been exposed your whole career, you could have done a lot more damage, is what I'm hearing.
A lot of people are saying that I'm aggressive. I don't think so. I'm firm. And when I represent someone, I'm like a dog after its bone, and I won't let go because I'm a litigator. And I'm like that in law, but I do understand that if you want to become a mayor, you've got to work with council. And I had this chat with you before we started this interview. In my previous life, I was working at Heenan Blakey, and I had the privilege to work with two prime ministers, Pierre Trudeau and Jean Chrétien. And Chrétien was much more volubile.
Articulate.
Open. Trudeau was a very...
Guarded?
Yeah, but very nice. You would sit down and have lunch with him, and he would tell stories like historical stories, like when he met Mao Zedong. Like you're speaking to someone who met Mao Zedong. It's wonderful. You're part of history for a short while. But Chrétien was much more lively, and he would say, I know what I don't know. And that's something that if I'm ever elected, I want to carry to town hall. I want to surround myself with people that have other talents, that have different opinions than I have. I would ask Trudeau at one point, I said, how would you choose your chief of staff, right? And he would say, well, I would make sure that he or she does not agree with all of my position, because I want to have a clash of ideas, and that's how we get a better result for the community.
I'll interrupt you. What
Sorry.
is your talent that you bring to the table as mayor?
My talent,
Yes.
the ability to question people that are working on the executive side.
We're going to recap 2 seconds. So what we have here is a council with, I think, 5 councillors? 5 or
Six.
6 councillors, thank you. A mayor. And at council, you also have the DG, Directeur Général, who is the leader of the administrative side, because
Yeah.
after you make decisions, those decisions get trickled down through an administrative framework, which is tangibly people you hire, employees, and whatnot. Am I hearing correctly that?
Yes, well, the way I see how council needs to work with the executive side, which is headed by Mr. Harel at this point in time, and has been headed by Mr. Harel for a number of years, we as elected personnel, people,
The council in this case?
the council
Yes.
and the mayor, we have a vision, and we need to agree among ourselves as to how we steer the ship this way or the other way. And when we come up with a plan, it's up to the executive to apply that plan.
The administration.
The administration. Executive.
To act upon.
To act upon. And you were asking me what is the best ability I bring to
Yes.
to the mayorship. My ability to question and question again. And my wife would say, you question the question.
Yes.
But I'll give you an example.
But the intent is to validate and verify.
Yes. Validate and verify. There's this Russian proverb, trust but verify. I'll give you a specific example.
Yes,
the
please.
most important project on the table is the fire station. And 2 years ago, I think Mayor Bourgon said it's going to cost $7 million. And now in the 3-year plan, there's a provision for $13 million.
That's a lot of money for a village, no?
It's a lot of money, but I'll come back on that.
Yes.
But the real question, and this is why I'm saying need to question, the real question is, do we really need a new fire station?
Absolutely.
I know that there's a fire truck that is stationed at the Waterloo Fire Station because it's too high and there's no room in the existing fire station.
Yes.
So we were told that the plan to enlarge the existing fire station is not a good plan.
Where? Waterloo or here?
No.
Here.
Okay. I haven't seen any evidence of that. Maybe it exists. I haven't seen it. So I would question that first. Why don't we just enlarge what we have? And then if they convince me and council that we have to build a new facility, then why did we have to expropriate the canals du Lac Brome? Why isn't there any other piece of land
I agree.
owned by the city or elsewhere?
I agree that it's good to question and it's good to explore all the options.
Yes.
And that's very important. Then you can start weighing the pros and the cons. Nothing's going to be perfect. There is perhaps a mentality that if you throw money at a problem and you make it new, you will perpetuate yourself in the future in a very efficient way. I see it differently. I think that Brome Lake and all its constituents and other villages are still, how can I say, they're privileges where nature has been maintained, the balance, the community, the values, the proactivity and volunteering. It seems we can come up with our own solutions. Left to ourselves, we do really good from grassroots up. And with the right guidance and steering aligned in values at City Hall, we could perpetuate the value of where we live, which is an integration with nature. And so doing things that are utterly modern for the aspect of competing with other towns, or I don't know, perhaps policies handed down by governments. I'm not sure exactly of all of the portrait when you are elected and running a town, but there are so many answers that could probably happen at a grassroots and community level that would enhance our lifestyle as it is and protect our environment and our values and our community. What do you think?
I think you're right. And Sutton chose to do that. So Sutton improves the facility they have, and it's right in the downtown core. Now, I don't have the information that the councillor that are currently
working on council
have, or that the executive have. There may be tons of reasons why the decision was to build a new fire station. And you said something that is quite true. I have a sense that it is a beauty contest among all of the small towns as to who will have the most expensive and best looking fire station. Brome spent $11 million, I think, or close to that. And they just opened their fire station. It's a beautiful building. But at the end of the day, is that a priority?
And is that going to make fires extinguished better? And I think that is something we need to question, because it's been brought to my attention that there is a new policy that all the surrounding counties need to collaborate with their resources. And so where we do put the Knowlton fire station should be considered to serve this region before it starts serving adjacent regions. So we have to be mindful to sort through information constantly.
Yes.
And it takes a mind and a heart and a group and a team and a collaborative administration to make all the parts come together.
Yes. All fire stations in this area, Waterloo, comes and help when we need them, and we go to Waterloo when they need us. And when we go to Waterloo, we charge them a fee, and the same thing when they come to help us. So there's collaboration and exchange of money. The same with Bolton. I don't know if Bolton has their own fire station, but I do know that we provide services on a timely basis to Bolton. But as I was saying, there seems to be a beauty contest among all the small towns as to who will have the best fire station. And then you have to step back and, as I said, always question, is that a priority? Is having a $10 million fire station a priority? And we do better. If we lose our lake, we lose our town.
You know how you said earlier, question, and that's your talent. Is there a flip side of questioning, or is there a flip side of Benoit, who is perhaps impatient and want to pick up the ball and just get the solution done? Is there perhaps, with all your humanity, also a lack of tact or something that I don't know, that I'm just throwing out there to see how you react?
It's a dangerous question. I will give you a dangerous answer.
All right.
When you're a lawyer, you learn to say things in a polite way because you're addressing the court, and you got to be respectful and honor the authority of the court. And it's very difficult to do because sometimes you don't agree, and sometimes you're right, because not all judges are good judges, not all attorneys are good. That being said, the downside of it, the flip side, use the expression, it's because I question because I seek perfection, and c'est un défaut. One of my partners at Heenan Blakely used to say, "La perfection est l'ennemi du bien." I don't know how do we say that in English?
Perfection can destroy goodness in its path.
So that's probably one of the flip side of questioning. But we need to move forward. At one point, if I'm
Where
elected...
are we going moving forward?
If I'm elected mayor, I will seek the opinion of everybody on council. I don't have the choice. You have to get consensus, and you have to use everybody's opinion and try to come with the best scenario. But at one point, you need to move forward. There needs to be a decision, because if we stay still, idle, we're not doing anything good for the community. So at one point, someone has to decide. And
isn't it a popular vote?
The way it works is that normally you're trying to reach a consensus among the councillor, and if anybody is not of your opinion and has a strong opinion that you're not right, you're incorrect, I will invite he or she to speak out at the caucus level and also at the council level. So when it's time to vote publicly, if someone does not agree with the resolution that is on the table, I wish he or she will say, "I don't agree, with all due respect, Mayor Bourgon, that we should go on with this." Obviously, before you go and table the resolution, you have a majority among the 6 councillors. The mayor only votes if it's needed to break a vote,
to sway,
or to veto a position taken by all the councillors.
So all the councillors could come to an agreement, and you have the authority to shut down the decision?
Yes, that no one should be in a position to take because you
mean the position should be written, that should be taken out?
What I mean is that if you're unable to reach a consensus, which means not a majority but a consensus at the caucus level, so when you are around the table with all the councillors and that there's no consensus, then you should step back and remove the proposed bylaw and say, well, let's think about it again. You always need to reach a consensus that for the good of a community.
Yes.
Because there are some towns in Quebec, and it's in the newspaper, where it's chaos. The council never agrees with the mayor. So then you're in a no-win situation.
It's super interesting what you're saying, because it's almost like the mayor's not on the council team. There are towns where there is chaos, where the council never agrees with the mayor, to pick up your exact words. That I didn't realize that the mayor had that much power, because veto, it's the last word.
Yeah.
Are you a man who can have the humility of putting down all his fighting skills to accept as personal defeat? It's not a personal defeat, but to accept a personal defeat for the good of the whole?
It's never a personal defeat when it's for the good of the community. I don't know everything about everything. And I may have some councillors that are coming with their own views that just make sense. I was not aware of that. So I have to be smart enough to say, well, you're right, and I was wrong. And okay, let's revisit this, let's work on it, and come up with a better solution. It's not like a provincial government where the premier runs the show when they have the majority, the federal government.
But you still have to have that personal insight to accept, okay, it's for the good of the whole.
Yep.
So do you have that?
I would not be running for mayor if I didn't have that.
Right.
And because I was a litigator, and every time I went to council, I was, not aggressive, but very firm and always very polite. People believe that I may give the impression that I'm a very dominant person. I am not. I'm running because I want this town to be protected. A lot of people don't realize that we have to protect the heritage of this town. We have to protect the history, right? So we have to know the history of this town. We have to know, because if we are not aware of our past, there's no future.
Hi, would you like to be on the show? Do you have any questions or ideas you'd like to share? Go to julietaylor.ca and leave me a message. Benoit, if this election wasn't the right time for you to come into the role of mayor, would you be a happy citizen of Brome Lake, doing pro bono work still, or would there be something?
Very good question. I would be very unhappy because I fear for our future. We're really at the crossroad, and I fear that my adversary will not be able to bring the city in the right direction. And that's going to be very difficult for me to stay idle. I will obviously, if I'm not elected, be at Townhouse Council every month and expressing my opinion and using my group Vigilance Lac Brome as a watchdog for the council. But the reason I want to become mayor is that I want to have an active role, not a passive role.
I see.
Do I answer your question?
You did. You did, Benoit. Benoit Bourgon, we're so pleased that you came and you spent the time today and we got to know you better. Thank you so much, and good luck on your campaign.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. This catchy, positive, upbeat pop song by Fred Bound at Free Music Archive is licensed CC BY.